He's been a jewel in my life pretty much. That's what it is. He's a genuine great guy. He knows a lot about basketball. I learned so much from Ed Myers.
He was one of the first out of the area that really could identify basketball talent.
You know, he transcended relationships in a way that all of us today as coaches try to do with our players.
For me, I think he's like one of the gatekeepers, you know, definitely in my time, and I'm a witness or an example. Man, it was never nothing to be like, hey, let me get them shoes in the back.
And he got some of the best advice I ever had.
One of the gatekeepers of basketball in DMV, and I don't even want to limit him to that because he did so much.
He had a huge impact on a lot of players, coaches, and families.
That has helped many a kid from this area move on to the next level.
And then ending up as a high major player, like, that's it.
Welcome to another week, another edition of the Focus TV. So happy to be with y'all this evening. Obviously, we weren't here last week because of the election. You know, if you guys follow us on social, you guys pretty much know why. We are happy to be back with you guys this week. We got Octavia Wyatt, Raymond Lyons, Cardell Dudley Jr., and Wilson Tarfay Jr. And once again, welcome to the Focus TV. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Gonna get to the NFC East as always. Got a little Maryland football for you guys. DMV college preview. Cardell and Ray got some updates on some new teams they're gonna take a look at and their outlook on the on this year. 9-4-50, Jamal Hayward once again. DC United update, and, you know, probably a little bit of rapid fire. But let's get things started with the NFC East. Octavia.
Sorry, I forgot I was on mute. I'm good this time. As Wilson just said, of course, last week we weren't here due to the election, which is, you know, definitely a great reason. Hope you guys were able to get out and exercise your voice. But in that time, the NFC East hasn't really changed too much. Couple little things just to give you, I'll go over that after I go through it. So this week, the Philadelphia Eagles were on a bye. So there was no game for them. They will play this coming Sunday. But there was a battle between two NFC East teams of the New York Giants and the Washington football team. And the Giants were victorious, got their second win of the season, was able to sweep the Washington football team with a score of 23-20. Daniel Jones was 23 of 34, 212 yards, 1 touchdown, 6 carries for 4 yards. Wayne Gallman had 14 carries, 68 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 reception for 9 yards. Mack had 4 receptions for 72 yards, and Evan Ingram had 5 receptions for 48 yards and 1 touchdown. On the other side, Allen was 5 of 7, 62 yards. Another appearance from Alex Smith this week, 24 of 32, 325 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. Then had 6 carries for 20 yards and 1 touchdown, 3 receptions for 35 yards. And then McLaurin had 7 receptions, 115 yards, 1 touchdown. As you probably noted, Alex Smith was in the game again this past week. And again, we saw another Washington football team quarterback go down with a lower left leg injury. Kyle Allen has been ruled out for the remaining of the season with a dislocated ankle. Pretty gruesome as well. He was in an air cast as they carted him off of the field. So it's kind of crazy. that happened to him. And then Alex Smith, who of course everybody knows what happened to him, is the quarterback that's going to come in to replace him. As of now, he will be the starting quarterback. And the season opening starting quarterback, Dwayne Haskins, will now be the second string quarterback. This game was crazy from the get-go. The Giants did well. And I'll even say the Washington football team didn't do terrible, but they just can't finish games. They got down to a 10-0 lead, a 10-0 deficit early in the game. They had 2 fumbles early in the game. Craziness. It was just wild. Neither team was actually able really to get on the ball until the very, very end, as you've seen in some of these clips. But Daniel Jones played pretty well. This was one of his only games without having a turnover, but he had plenty of opportunities to turn it over. He did have 2 fumbles, but he was able to recover one, and then the other one actually bounced out of bounds. There was an interception that was called back because it was deemed that the player did not actually catch the ball before it hit the ground. So luckily for him, he didn't have it, but he does still have some turnover issues. This is his 5th game winning as a starter. And of those 5 games, 4 of them have come against the Washington franchise. So it seems like he does well against Washington, not so much against other teams. But I think that their running game was actually very well. Welcome back to Alfred Morris, who was in street clothes 2 weeks ago. Of course, played for the Washington football team. At that time, they were the Redskins. Also played for the Cowboys. He was moved up from the practice squad after Devontae Freeman suffered an injury in his ankle as well. He had a really good game. He seems to me, depending on when Freeman comes back, I could see him being the lead back. Of course, right now they're doing it running back by committee with him, Gallman, Dion Lewis. Dion Lewis is a little bit prone to fumbling as well. So they're having issues with that. But all in all, they had a pretty good game. The star of the game for me was Jabril Peppers on the defense. He was everywhere. He disrupted almost every play. He had six total tackles. He had an interception off of Alex Smith. He was everywhere, like just pretty much everywhere. Unfortunately, he was also the player that injured Kyle Allen. He did get a flag on that play, although Ron Rivera did come out and say that he didn't think it was a dirty play. Unfortunately, injuries happen. McLaurin is always good for them. He's their constant person, always over 100 yards. If they can get the ball to him, he's going to catch it. So those are some of the bright spots. But as we all know, the NFC East is still wide open with the the Washington football team. At this moment, they are second in the division at 2-6. That tells you a lot. And the Giants are now 2-7. So they're at the bottom with their only 2 wins being in the division against the Washington football team. The next game for the Giants will be against the Eagles. So that'll be the Eagles coming off of a bye next week. 1:00, the Giants. And I'm sure the Giants are looking for a little bit of payback from the last game they played 2 weeks ago. And the Eagles were able to pull it out at the end. If it wasn't for an Evan Ingram dropped pass, there may be a different story we'd be talking about right now. Evan Ingram has been having some issues with drop passes. He dropped a couple key passes in this game as well, but he did catch an oh so important touchdown in this game that sealed the deal for them. So Giants versus the Eagles next week. The Washington football team will play the Lions, and we'll see how that goes for them. The other game, the Cowboys. The Cowboys played against the Steelers this past week, and it was actually a more competitive game than you would think. The Steelers did also stay undefeated. They defeated the Cowboys 24-19. Quarterback for the Cowboys this week, Garrett Gilbert, was 21 of 38, 243 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Tony Pollard had 9 carries, 57 yards, and 1 reception for 1 yard. and CeeDee Lamb 4 receptions, 71 yards, and 1 touchdown. In my opinion, this was like the best complete game for them this year. They were leading for a good portion of this game. It seems like something finally clicked for the defense. They were actually able to get to Ben, disrupt him, actually even injured him a little bit with his knee going into the halftime, although Ben was able to stay in and get that touchdown at the end of the first half. And he left the game, a little bit early at halftime, not thinking that the Cowboys would be able to do anything, but they were able to at least put themselves in good position. But they did punt it back, so Mason Rudolph did have to come in for that last series for them in the first half. But to me, it was a little bit of building blocks for the Cowboys. This is the best their defense has done all this year, outside of a couple of penalties and things for them. They kept them in the game, except on of course, the go-ahead touchdown at the end of the game. Ben Roethlisberger threw to Eric Ebron. The Cowboys had to have a reserve corner in, Savion Smith, who actually missed a tackle on Deontay Johnson, and then watched Eric Ebron hurdle for the touchdown at the end of the game. But again, I was very, very surprised in this game. Garrett Gilbert is not a rookie. He's been in the league for a couple of years now, but this was his first game starting. McCarthy saying that the reason he wanted him to start was because, of course, the debacle of the week before with Ben DiNucci didn't go too well. Everybody knows Dak Prescott is still out. And Andy Dalton, who missed these 2 last games, one due to a concussion, and then the other week was COVID-19 protocol. I don't think they've ever come out and said if he actually had COVID or if he was just in close proximity with somebody who did have it. So he did not suit up this week as well. There's slight rumblings of who will start after their bye, because they will be on a bye this coming week. But if you listen to Jerry Jones, Andy Dalton will be starting. They believe that they had the best backup in the league, and this is what they brought him there for. But we'll see. You see how the offense kind of clicked, in my opinion, under Gilbert. It was still a little bit rusty for Dalton, but as expected because he didn't really have many reps. But we'll see as time goes on. So next week, Cowboys will be on a bye. Washington football team plays the Lions, and then the Eagles and the Giants will play each other. Just to kind of give you the standings as of now. Believe me before I say they are horrible. The Eagles are in first place at 3-4-1. Washington football team is in second at 2-6. Cowboys are at 2-7, and they're in third. And then the Giants are also 2-7, and they're in fourth. Cowboys are ahead because they did beat the Giants already. So this next game for the Giants and the Eagles is going to be very, very important if the Giants want to have any type of chance going forward in this division.
All right, going from the professional level to the collegiate level, just to give you guys a little update. The Maryland Terrapins on the football side of things got out to a slow start this season, got punched by Northwestern 43-3. People's typical reactions on social, going wild, get locks out of there, all that other crazy stuff. They bounced back the last 2 weeks. There's back-to-back wins, beating Minnesota 45-44 in OT. And this weekend, they beat Penn State 35-19. Talia Tungo, so his little brother, back-to-back, he's getting comfortable, right? 282 yards this past week, 3 tutties. Rakeem Jarrett, 5 catches, 144 yards, and 2 touchdowns for the Terps. So let's start with you, Cardell, work our way around. What's your thoughts on Maryland's big win this past weekend?
We said this covering them last year that Loxley needed time, just like every coach, to get his type of players in the mix, build his system, and go from there. And you starting to slowly see that happen. He got a solid quarterback that has potential. He's throwing a few picks early, but with the way the Terps defense had been, not consistent throughout putting a full game together, but consistent enough to have the team in position to win. it's starting to turn the corner for Loxley as far as what we expected from him when he got the job. And I know the quarterback is getting all the headlines and everything, but I gotta give some props, a lot of props to Jake Funk, the running back. To me, he's been the difference for Maryland. He had a strong start last year, then he tore his ACL for the second time in 2 years, and that's when everything went to hell for Maryland. It was just all about the passing game because the running backs couldn't really get going. But he's returned with a vengeance after his slow first game, which is expected. It's your first game back from 2-point ACL. You got to, you know how it is. You got to get over the mental hurdle. It is what it is when you're coming back from a major injury. He's been on his game. 43 carries this season through 3 games. He has 336 yards. He's averaging 7.8 yards a carry. He had 221 yards rushing against Minnesota and 80 last week in Penn State. We all know last year that was a totally different. It was reversed. We as a team we was hoping. I think as a team the Terps had 80 yards rushing. You know what I mean, against Penn State. But him by himself, he's getting it done, man. To me, he's been a spark plug. If he can stay healthy, Maryland has something moving forward, man. They're going to be making a lot of noise in the Big Ten.
All right, Ray.
Yeah, just echoing what Cardell said. I think Loxley and pretty much the team in general just kind of settling into their groove. Last year it was just an anomaly, with all the injuries and everything they had to deal with. So, to kind of judge them off that is just not realistic. And then, of course, with the slow start this year, all the knee-jerk reactions are to be expected. But seems like they're just kind of rounding into shape. People are finding their way, and they look pretty solid, man. If they can keep this up, it could be, just a kind of domino effect where, they turn themselves into a solid program.
Octavia.
Yeah, I mean, like both of them just said, same thing. I would also be remiss if we didn't mention, we just talked about the Cowboys playing the Steelers. Anthony McFarland, that played for the Terps last year, was able to get some play for the Steelers this week. So definitely shots and props to him this week as well. But yeah, this was to me, like a huge statement win for Maryland. Maryland hasn't beaten Penn State since 2015. And this is only the 4th time they've ever beat them in a 44-game series. So it's got to be great for them. If anything, a morale booster for them if they had any type of issues. So it was just great to see that happen for them. And like we talked about, Loxley just needs time. He just needs time to get his players in. Last year he was a first-year, coach, still trying to get his players in, the people that he feels is the right for the position. And now we're coming off of a pandemic. So he's still facing issues that he's still have never had a normal off season for just his players who he wants to bring in. So it's going to take time, but I think that this is a great step in the right direction for them. Being 2-1, coming back against Minnesota last week, inching out that win, and then beating a rival like this, it's only going to propel them to do better.
Good point, Octavia.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm anxious to see what they do against Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go because you got
it's going to get real.
Arguably at this moment, that's QB2. That's QB2 in this upcoming draft class. So hope Maryland's defense is ready. That's not the team that you want to give extra opportunities to.
Nope.
Some folks out there playing for impending contracts, draft position, and things of that nature. So just keeping it real is a big test. Congratulations on what's been done thus far, but it gets real next week, man. Especially after, it's one thing if you lost to Penn State, they may have overlooked you. You got they full attention next week. They not trying to have the same feel Penn State had. Nobody wants that. People talking wild about the boy under center. The quarterback rankings now is getting leapfrog. Like, it's going to be a good one. Hopefully, we'll see what happens, and we'll be back next week to talk about it. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, got Ray and Cardell, the DMV college preview. They're going to be looking at Coppin State, Morgan State, Little GW news, some Maryland women's news, and the 9-4-50 breakdown. That's all the things that are coming up. You're watching Focus TV. We will be right back. Welcome back to the Focus TV. As promised, the DMV College preview coming up. Ray, we're going to start with you. I know you said you're going to be discussing Coppin State this week, followed by Cardell with Morgan State. So the floor is yours, sir.
All right. Yeah, like Wilson just said, going to be taking a look at Coppin State's men's basketball team. This is a little sentimental section for me. It's Coppin State's my alma mater. So, yeah, just going to dive into the Eagles real quick. They're going to look a little different this year. They got 7 new faces on the roster. This is Juan Dixon's going into his 4th season as head coach. They've steadily gotten better every year since he's been there. With last year being their best season of his tenure. They finished 11-20 overall with a 7-9 record in conference. That was good for 7th. They did have 4 non-conference Division I wins. That's the most since 2013-2014 season, which was Fang Mitchell's last year as head coach. If anyone's not aware, he was Coppin's coach for almost 30 years, and he's most well known for winning a tournament game as a 15 seed in the 96-97 season, I believe. At the time he was only the 3rd coach to achieve that. So yeah, Fang, he just has a storied history at Coppin. I think he played for the league as well. But yeah, in regards to them this year, they traditionally play a tough non-conference schedule, and that's not going to change. They have games against Duke, Georgetown, and Virginia Tech on this schedule this year. So I'm just going to run down these new faces real quick. Start with Dwayne Jones. He's a 6'5" guard. He's a freshman. He averaged 18 points per game his senior year in high school. He's coming off a post-grad year at Covenant College Prep. He can set the table for his teammates at a high level. He can also create for himself and score the basketball as well. Juan Dixon described him as a workhorse, has a high IQ, and can impact the game in several ways offensively. He's looking to improve on the defensive end and make his presence felt there as well. Moving on to Nende Tart. 6'4", 190. He's a freshman as well. He's a local kid. He's a 2-time All-Met selection from Bullis. He averaged 17 a game as a senior. He actually played with Dwayne Jones at Covenant College Prep. He's decent size, great athleticism. He moves well off the ball and can finish at the basket. And he's a capable defender. Next we got Kyle Kardaki, 6'2" guard. He's a redshirt sophomore. Played his freshman season at Bryant University. Then he transferred to a Seward Community College. While there, he shot 41% from 3. So we already know his MO is going to be at Coppin. He's coming in described as one of the toughest players on the team. They're going to be looking to use him a lot in pick and roll situations where he's dangerous as a shooter and a playmaker coming off the pick. And they'll be looking to get him in catch and shoot situations. Moving on, Bryce Hunt, 6'7", 225 junior. He was second in the nation in blocks his sophomore year. He averaged 7.6 rebounds and 2 blocks per game on 56% from the floor during his JUCO career. He's got extremely high motor. Of course, the shot blocking and run protection is going to be his biggest contribution. He also runs the floor really well and finishes well in transition. Then we have Nike Jackson, 6'7" guard. He's a sophomore. He played last season at Harcum College, where he averaged 10 points, 3 rebounds a game. Shot the ball pretty well, 48% from the floor, including 36% from 3. He's got loads of potential, man. He has tremendous versatility on defense, and he can shoot the ball well with deep range. He's looking to round out his game a little bit more. Just has to improve on putting the ball on the floor and creating offense for himself off the bounce. Then we got Sharif Knox. He's a 6'6". He spends time at the 2 and the 3. He's a sophomore. Played his freshman year at St. Joe's. In high school, he was on 3 consecutive league and state title teams at Imhotep and Philly. He's highly skilled. He can space the floor. Excellent defender on the perimeter. He should do really well in the MEAC. Then we have Anthony Tark. He's a 6'6" guard. It's a redshirt senior. He's the brother of Nende Tark, so it's another local kid. He's a transfer from UTEP. Played his first 2 seasons at New Jersey Institute of Technology, where he made the Atlantic Sun All-Freshman team in 2016. High school, he was an All-Met selection his senior year. He averaged 26 a game for Gaithersburg. He can defend multiple positions. And on offense, he's extremely versatile and can play anywhere between the 2 and the 4. Then we got Isaiah Gross, another local kid. He's a redshirt freshman. He was on a medical redshirt last season. He was Mr. Basketball in the state of Maryland his senior year at Eleanor Roosevelt, where he also led them to a state title. Man, he's just really good on the offensive end. He can create, improve ball handling. He doesn't play around with the ball. Once he gets it, he's looking to score quickly. And, if defense rotates or collapses, he has the vision to make the extra play. Coppin is just excited to finally get on the floor, and to see what he can do after being sidelined last year. So, Coppin, they're slowly improving. Like I said before, they've gotten better every year since Juan Dixon has been there. They're just, looking to compete in the MEAC and, win that tournament and possibly get into the big dance. But, it's an exciting time for them. They got a new blood injected. Most of these guys are from the Philly, Jersey area, and Coppin has historically had a pipeline from the tri-state area, and that looks like, it hasn't changed, and that'll continue to be where they get the bulk of their talent.
Go ahead, Cardell.
All right, I'm gonna pick up with Morgan State. Year 1 of the Kevin Broadus brought improvement for Morgan State. The Bears improved by 6 games during the 19-20 season, finishing at 15-16 overall, but 9-7 in the MEAC. Big leap from the dismal 9-21 overall record and 4-21 conference record from the 18-19 season. The last under Todd Bozeman. 4 starters return, which includes 2 who averaged double figures in scoring. And bouncy 6'9" senior forward Troy Baxter, who averaged 10.2 points and 5.1 rebounds last season. And 6'1" point guard Sherwin Devonish Prince, who averaged 10 points per game and 3.5 rebounds. Added to that mix is 6'1" Isaiah Burt, who is one of Morgan State's better shooters, and 6'9" Jamal Brown, who has more size in the front court. They also have Wake Forest transfer Sharon Wright Jr. If he possibly gets a waiver, it's not looking good, but the NCAA is the NCAA. You never know. Will have a big impact on the Bears and the MEAC as a whole. The 6'5" guard is an athletic 2-way player that can impact the game in a variety of ways, especially scoring the ball and defending. Wright Jr. is the son of former NBA lottery pick out of Clemson, 6'11" Sharon Wright. Reserve 6'4" junior guard Malik Miller is capable of being a versatile headache for opponents due to his tenacity to defend, rebound, score from mid-range, inside, and in transition. He just has to become more consistent game to game. 6'8" senior Victor Okafor is a bruising lunch pail big who isn't afraid to mix things up inside. 6'4" grad student Troy Holston will be looked upon to provide depth and consistent scoring from the perimeter. And keep an eye on from redshirt freshman big, 6'9", 280 pounds, Josiah Marable, who played high school ball here locally in Wilson, and freshman Nassim Khaled, and forward Peter Sorber. My thoughts going on this season, I expect Morgan State to continue their improvement. Broadus is a hell of a coach and talent evaluator, as you can see with the under-the-radar talent that he has brought in and grown to make an impact for the Bears. I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the top half of the MEAC throughout the season, fighting with Howard, Copper State, and the school Octavia built, North Carolina A&T, to dethrone conference heavyweights Norfolk State and North Carolina Central. The MEAC will be a quiet competitive conference this season, man. You know, despite the pandemic or what's going on, obviously the rumors about conferences with historically black colleges remain intact due to the financial strain. It's financial strain in normal times, but with the pandemic, it's a real question. But I think I think the competitive nature of what's going to go down this season, with them battling with one another, because it's not many out of conference games for a lot of low mid-major programs this season. They're trying to keep everybody in their region and close to home, playing back to backs on the weekend. I think with that being said, I think it'll be ultra competitive. You know what I'm saying? And I think it'll be for some exciting brand of basketball, especially with the transfers up and down the conference. Obviously a possible first round pick. Maker Howard adding to the mix. You know what I'm saying? When Howard come to town, guys gonna be motivated to prove that they worthy. So it's gonna be a fun season, man. But that's my thoughts on Morgan State. Moving on to GW, the men's ready for a virtual scrimmage this Thursday. The things I'm looking for will be the development of GW sophomore core, and Chase Paul, Jameer Nelson Jr., and Jameson Battle. I'll also be watching to see which transfers, like James Bishop, LSU transfer Hunter Dean, Sloan Seymour, which one of them are ready to step in and give immediate production. And last, what would a freshman bring? We are in one of the era, so most folks look for freshmen to make an immediate impact. While that may be nice, that's not really oftentimes the reality. Freshmen will and deserve to be freshmen, which means they will make mistakes and be a step slow at times. However, there are some freshmen that adjust quickly and produce at a high level. Will GW freshman, Tyler Brailsford, 6'4" point guard from Mount St. Joe's, Lincoln Ball, and 6'11" center Noel Brown need patience from Coach Christian, or will they be in a rotation from day one? We'll see. We'll start Thursday. I have notes for that next week. Also, going to the A10, staying with the A10, they released their preseason conference for all conference teams. On the women's side, with the preseason conference first team, we have Susie Rose Deegan out of Davidson, Aaron Whalen out of Dayton, Libby Bazelak out of Duquesne, Stan Breen out of Massachusetts, Deaja Harbison out of St. Louis, and Tara Reed out of VCU being named to the first team. For the second team, we have Katie Turner out of Davidson, Leo Soul out of Duquesne, Kendall Amir out of Fordham, Claire Jacobs out of LaSalle, Sienna Johnson out of St. Bonaventure, and Tyra Robinson out of VCU. For the third team, we have Sarah Donovan out of Davidson, Ariana Bradshaw out of Dayton, Kyla Whitehead out of Dayton, Anna DeWolf out of Fordham, Mila Luma out of GW, and Rachel Kent out of St. Louis. For the preseason all defensive team, we have Ariana Bradshaw out of Dayton, Libby Bezalak out of Duquesne, Brooke Flowers out of St. Louis, Deaja Harbison out of St. Louis, and Tyra Robinson out of VCU. And if you see a lot of VCU names on here, the reason for that, they were picked to win the conference this year. They're loaded. So keep an eye on them. A couple of the ladies may have a shot and possibly get picked up in next year's WNBA draft, depending on how they play this year. On the men's side, the all-conference first team is Kellen Grady out of Davidson, Jalen Crusher out of Dayton, Trey Mitchell out of UMass, Fats Russ out of Rhode Island, Jacob Gilliard out of Richmond. We'll have more from him very soon on the Pro Series. Jordan Goodwin out of St. Louis. For the second team, we have Marcus Weathers out of Duquesne, Blake Francis out of Richmond, Grant Golden out of Richmond, Kyle Lawton out of St. Bonaventure, Ryan Daly out of St. Joseph, Hassan French out of St. Louis, and closing thing with the third team, we have Sincere Carey from Duquesne, Javon Green out of George Mason, AJ Wilson out of George Mason. Check out our Pro Series. We just did one on him. Ocean Suni out of St. Bonaventure, Devontae Perkins out of St. Louis, and Deshaun Bones Highland out of VCU. And finishing things off with the defensive team, we have AJ Wilson out of George Mason, Jacob Gilliard, who led the NCAA in steals with 3.2 last year, out of Richmond, Ocean St. Bonaventure, elite shot blocker, Hassan French out of St. Louis, and Jordan Goodwin out of St. Louis. Richmond was picked to finish first in the conference. So I know everybody historically kind of look at the A10 as a mid-major type of vibe, but not this year. It will probably be a top 2-3 conference in all of college basketball. That's how competitive it is, because outside obviously Obi Toppin leaving, being a lottery pick, you got to go. A lot of seniors came back this year, and it's gonna be loaded. It's gonna be hell. So I'm definitely looking forward to see who come out this league.
And definitely, shameless and not even, yeah, it's definitely shameless. But get over to get that AJ Wilson, bro. It's definitely worth your time. You're gonna see why he's on the defensive list. It's a very, 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 very good reason for it. You won't be disappointed. I'm gonna wrap up the DMV preview segment this week with some Maryland women's basketball. Coach Freeze had an availability on the 5th, which you talked about this year's group. I'm gonna paraphrase some of it. As always, get over to finestmag.com for more. Get over to MyMamaSports.com as well for more. But again, it's gonna be another year with a light roster in terms of numbers because I had some transfers, some folks graduated, whatnot. One of the things with this year, they were kind of a long team from a length perspective last year. You can double and maybe triple that this year. Stupid length on this roster. The front court, crazy versatile. And again, that's where a ton of that length is. You match that with one of the best point guards in the entire country, it's not exactly a bad recipe. Transfers will be key this season because it's a young group at Maryland. Two of the transfers bringing over experience. Chloe Bibby and Kate Benson will have the most experience on the collegiate level on Maryland's team. Again, both of them were acquired in the transfer portal. One interesting thing from Chloe Bibby, because of COVID, she didn't get a chance to come visit Maryland, so she didn't meet her teammates until after she committed. Benson, on the other hand, had opportunity to come visit, stay a weekend and whatnot. So just polar opposites in their experiences coming out the transfer portal and how COVID has affected things. Obviously, you guys already know how highly touted Angel Reese is. She's the highest recruit in the program's history. And obviously a couple of folks were asking about how she's been so far her freshman year. Brenda had no issue saying she's not only as advertised, but, throw a little bit on top of that as well. And Brenda and several players made it clear that Angels also walked in and instantly become one of the leaders on this year's team. The AP Top 25 came out today, and Maryland starts the year 12th after losing their entire starting 5. And that's is a little misleading because two of the players that spent a lot of the time playing last year, and Ashley and Diamond technically didn't start all the time. That said, 12th is in a bad spot, and again, still speaks to the type of talent folks are looking at on the outside. They start the season at the Gulf Coast Showcase. Maryland's going to take on Davidson on Friday, November 27th, Missouri State Saturday the 28th, and Arkansas on Sunday the 29th. As far as the Big Ten conference schedule goes, they're still waiting to sort that out. They haven't yet gotten the logistics just yet. So as soon as that comes through, we will update you all. But before we move on, I'm going to leave you guys with some sound from today's availability with Angel Reese, Kate Benson, Chloe Bibby, and Diamond Miller. After that, we'll have the 9-4-50 breakdown from Jamal Hayward. As always, consistently knocking these segments out, followed by our second break. This week on the 9-4-50 breakdown, though, Jamal will break down up and under options and counters. Again, he's going to be breaking down up and under options and counters. So that's some sound from Maryland's media availability, followed by the 9-4-50 breakdown, our second break. And we come back to, DC United and whatever Cardell has cooked up for us in a good old rapid fire. So we see you guys soon. How you guys doing? Thanks for being here today. I had two questions, one for Katie, Angel, and Chloe, and then Diamond. I was going to ask you a question right afterwards. For you all, the first group, I just want to ask your early thoughts on playing with a point guard like Ashley Owusu.
That girl is a bucket. My goodness. She's a bucket, and she reads the floor so well. I mean, she's pretty quiet as a person, but on the floor, wow, she can hoop. But just playing with her has been so much fun. She really knows. I mean, she can get a bucket whenever she wants to, but she also reads the floor so well and finds her teammates. So it's been a lot of fun, and I know we still got some more growing to do, but right now it's just fun, and that's the kind of basketball that you love to play.
For either Angel,
you go, Angel.
Okay.
I mean, from playing against Ashley, playing on Boo Williams, and now being able to play with her is just great. She's a great point guard. She's been working on being more vocal. I get on her sometimes about being more vocal too. So I think she's a great part of our team. She can score the ball any area, and she still can get the ball to us. So I think she's great. She's amazing, and especially coming from the DMV and having good connections with her too.
Yeah, Ashley just has a high basketball IQ. She makes great reads. She always makes the right basketball play, and she finds the open man, whether it's herself or for her teammates. So it's just been so much fun playing with her, and I'm so happy that I'm playing with her rather than against her.
And for Diamond, last year, like going all the way back to like media day, talking with you and your fellow classmates that came in last year, you guys kept talking about what stood out to me the most was just how competitive by nature you guys were individually and then as a group. We've heard today everyone talk about how competitive this group is this year. What is it like in having a roster full of folks that hungry? You guys already talking about, pretty much having to fight for spots and whatnot. What's that been like so far?
It's a lot of fun playing against people that have the same goals as you, and we're all dogs. We all could score at any moment. So you have to be on your P's and Q's or you will get picked on, unfortunately. But it's just a lot of fun, and I enjoy it. You don't want to go to a program where people don't have the same goals as you or doesn't have the same drive that you have for the game. Like, we all are equally love the game. So it's just a lot of fun. I love going to – we don't even call it practice. We just go play basketball. I love playing basketball, and we're going to continue to play basketball.
For Chloe, what's it like being – I know you guys are kind of short in terms of how many numbers you guys have on the roster, but as far as wings and front court players, you guys are loaded up front, with Angel, we got Diamond, Mimi, things of that nature. How do you see yourself kind of just fitting in to a group that versatile?
Yeah, well, as you said, we are huge, and we don't say that we have post players. We have guards and we have big guards, and that's how we play. I think there's no fixed position within our team. Everyone can do a bit of everything. Like, Angel can step out and knock down a three. I don't know. Coach Freeze might be a bit angry she does that in the game, but in practice she'd be pulling it, and it's nice. So, like, Mimi can shoot the three, so can I. So, I mean, we are just so versatile, and that's why I think it's so much fun. We're massive, it's like really long, and then when we play our press and we have Diamond up the top there, or even Angel as well, like, as we've said throughout this, the whole Zoom call, it's just so exciting because, if you stop us at one spot, we got 4 other players which can go get a bucket, and you don't know how. You don't know if they're going to step back, pull up, or they're going to take it to the rim. And I think that's just what's super exciting about it. Every player is a weapon, and they have multiple weapons. So, yeah, I'm just trying to do the same thing, get out there and get a bucket.
Put the ball to myself, left foot kick in, shot fake, step through. Now I can finish with my right hand or my left. So it's here, shot fake, step through, finish. Now, it's a normal up and under. Here's one of the options. Here, fake, turn back, jump hook, or it could be a jump shot. That's one option. Here, step through. Now, this is all reactionary. Once you step through here, the defender can cut this off. This is your pivot foot, remember. This left foot here. So, once you're here, and you step through, he cuts you off here, plane, this step through, you can step around him. Step around him, finish. Okay? So, again, here it goes. Here, step through, step around, finish. So those are 2 options on the up and under here that you have. Put the ball to myself, left foot kick in, shot fake, step through. Now I can finish with my right hand or my left. So it's here, shot fake, step through, finish. Now, that's a normal up and under. Here's one of the options. Here, fake, turn back, jump up, or it could be a jump shot. That's one option. Here, step through. Now, this is all reactionary. Once you step through here, the defender can cut this off. This is your pivot foot, remember. This left foot here. So, once you're here, and you step through, he cuts you off here, plane, the step through, you can step around him. Step around him, finish. Okay? So again, here it goes. Here, step through, step around, finish. So those are two options on the up and under here that you have.
Welcome back to the Focus TV. As always, special thanks to Jamal Hayward for knocking out the 9-4-50 breakdown. Real quick on DC United, their season came to an end. For them to make the postseason, they're going to have to beat Montreal and then get a little bit of help to clinch the ninth and final playoff spot in the East. They ended up getting the help, but they didn't take care of the first step, which was beating Montreal. They had a 2-1 lead at the half, but they gave up 2 goals in the second half, one in the 74th minute, and again in the 88th. Goes to Wanyama and Kyoto for Montreal. One of the bright spots where Paul Arriola didn't make his return after tearing his ACL last year. He looked good in his first moments back. He even had a couple opportunities on goal, but you can tell obviously your first game back in the year, you're not going to be as sharp as you could possibly be. But it was a tough year for them. They were ravaged by injuries at the end of the year. You lost the coach mid-season. COVID, it was just a lot. As several of the players said following the game, just in professional sports, most of them expect several changes. Obviously, they don't know who the head coach is going to be. That coaching search is still going on. And then, not often does the roster get to stay together when you don't experience great success. So we will see what ends up happening, but credit to them for just fighting through extremely tough season. Cardell, rapid fire.
All right, first question. Not first question. Just got some sad news across the NBA. Two-time Hall of Famer Tommy Heinsohn, who won 10 NBA titles over his 20 years as a player and coach for the Boston Celtics, died earlier today. He was 86. The team confirmed Heinsohn's death on Tuesday, earlier this day. Heinsohn, who may be just as well known for his, color commentary. We all know growing up, I love Walter. That was the main thing. You always see that when the Celtics played, especially during those tough Paul Pierce and Antoine Walker-led teams. He had his unique style, but he spent his entire professional career in Boston. Winning 8 titles, including 7 straight from 59 to 65 with those great teams with Bill Russell, Cousy and those guys. And he was a 6-time All-Star and was also the 57 Rookie of the Year and a 4-time All-NBA second-team honoree. Following a 3-year gap after his playing career ended, Heinsohn coached the Celtics from 69 to 78, leading Boston to 2 titles in 74 and 76. He accumulated a career coaching record of 427 wins and 263 losses. His win total remains the second most in Celtics history, trailing only Red Auerbach's 795. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame as a coach in 2015, as a player in 1986, and Heinsohn is only one of 4 people, along with Bill Sharman, John Wooden, and Lenny Wilkins, to be in the Hall as a player and coach. Just what are your thoughts on his legacy, as he's transitioned? Start with you, Octavia.
You basically stated every reason why, as many things he's been involved in the NBA, being only a handful of people to be inducted into the Hall of Fame as a player and a coach right there tells you how high his basketball IQ is. How touted players from the Boston Celtics are. It's a great franchise, and I'm sure they will miss him. And I just, praise for him and his family.
Raymond.
Yeah, just like you said, he spent his entire professional career in Boston, and we know the history of that franchise and the impact they've had on the league. So to stick around a place like that for as long as he did, obviously he was, he meant a lot to the game and was was instrumental in a lot of their success. It's just sad to see him go. I mean, we're getting older, so that means the people that are older than us are getting older, and unfortunately, the death is a part of life. I'm sure the NBA will have something for him at some point. It's much deserved. He deserves all the recognition in the world. And he was honored during his life, but of course he's going to be remembered in a way that's fitting for for the legacy that he left behind.
Wilson.
Obviously, a sad day for the league and for the Boston franchise. Just another reminder, just for folks, kind of like, take time and really get a chance to like kind of pour into the history of the sport or any sport that you follow. So many people play integral roles all across it. Don't always get their flowers while they're here. Just obviously nothing but prayers to his family. And, like Raymond said, I have no doubt that the NBA do the right thing and honor as they should.
All right, next up, Alex Caruso said guys get stuck in the G League because they can't accept their role. Obviously, guys that get to the NBA, they've been the best player on the previous levels, whether it was high school, AAU, or college. So it's a bit of an adjustment to get to the highest level, and they tell you, hey, we need you to play a smaller role. We need you to do this. You don't have the ball in your hand no more. On a podcast with JJ Redick on the Old Man and the Three podcast, Caruso said Oklahoma City executive Sam Presti helped him understand what was expected, that if his calling card was defense, he needed to be better. He needed to be better and able to guard multiple positions. And Caruso said a big reason guys get stuck in the G League is because they don't realize the position they're trying out for. It's like going to a job interview thinking you're going to be the CFO of the company, and they're looking for someone to clean the bathroom. Alex Caruso went undrafted out of Texas A&M and signed to go to training camp with the Thunder in 2016. He showed he could defend and play a role in the G League, worked on his game, impressed the Lakers enough. They signed him to a two-way contract in 2017. Caruso kept working, kept showing he could fit in where the Lakers need him, bringing energy and defense off the bench. And by 2020, obviously, during his playoff run, he was playing key minutes and helping the Lakers win the NBA championship. Just what are your thoughts on this? His quote. We're gonna start with you, Ryan.
Man, when I saw it earlier, it just kind of brought a smile to my face because I feel like he was absolutely right. I feel like the general thought of people is that if they can score the ball really well, then they belong in the NBA. When that's just not how things work. It's only 450 spots. Most teams already have a guy that can score. What else do you bring to the game? You're not, if you're in the G League, you're not going to an NBA team to be the man. And that's just what it is. And it's a lot of truth in what Caruso said. And it shouldn't be taken lightly, seeing that he's traveled the road he's speaking on. And now he's played himself into a position where he's a key contributor on the championship team. So obviously the guy knows what he's talking about and knows what it takes to climb through the ranks, like you said, of being undrafted, then going to the G League, then proving himself at the NBA level. But yeah, man, it's just a constant misconception from folks, or they're not willing to do what's necessary to get them to where they need to be. I was covering the Go-Go a lot last season. I talked to Pops one time, and he basically echoed the same sentiment. Like, nobody wants to stay in the G League, but you got to realize you're there for a reason. And to get to that next level, you got to figure out what you can contribute. Everybody's not going to be brought somewhere to score 20 points a game, and if you want to get to the NBA that bad, you're going to make yourself invaluable to a team in some way. And if the opportunity comes along where you will get a chance to, to be a scorer, what have you, you've put yourself in that position to take advantage. But yeah, man, it's a great quote by Caruso. It needs to be in every G League locker room, in every high school locker room, college locker room, or whatever, because once you level up, you're starting from scratch, and you got to kind of figure yourself out all over again. So yeah, man, I wholeheartedly agree with what he said, and I'm glad he said it.
Wilson.
I'm gonna keep it short. He preaching. He said what he said. I stand by it 100%. That's the biggest thing. There's a lot of folks. It's something that's been said. We've been talking about over the years too, where folks is trying to find a role and fit on teams on every level. It's a very important part of it.
All right, Octavia.
The first thing that came to my mind was like WWF when they say know your role and shut your mouth. Like, know your role and shut your mouth. Like, do what you're there for. Because like you said, like, if you're on the G League team, you're coming into a position where they already have people. Like, they have a score. They have these things. They need you to come in and do one specific thing. Come in and do that one specific thing. And I think that, like he said, like, I don't know, and I can't speak for men, but I feel like it's just an ego thing at sometimes. It can be anything. It's like you said, like, I was the man in high school. Even if they thought they was the man in college, like the NBA and the professionals is a whole different ball game. So to be grateful that you have a chance and to know what they want you to do and to do it. So I think it was brilliant.
I'm with y'all. Great quote. Like Raymond said, it's something that needs to be in the locker room of every program at every level. That's the problem. And we are unfortunately in an area where I swear ego has killed so many players in this area that had the talent to get there. Like it's unbelievable how the ego has just destroyed players before they even get off the ground because they feel entitled to something. And we're kind of on the other side with the media side of it, where it's like you just another player when you come through. You feel what I'm saying? And it's just like the owners, the GMs and execs and stuff, all they see is who's producing and who's coachable. If you giving them a headache telling them what you're going to do, they're already looking at you like, all right, how are we going to replace them? You see what I'm saying? It's not difficult, man. Give the coaches what they're asking for. That means they're going to trust you. If they trust you, they're going to increase your role. Then you get to be the player you always envision. It's not hard. It's really not hard. It's just a matter of just swallowing your pride and doing what you got to do. And at the end of the day, you in the G League, you're one step from the NBA. You're a professional basketball player. It's millions of players trying to get where you at. I don't see any real big negative deal with that. You see what I'm saying? You taking that for granted. Then when you don't have that option no more, you know what they're saying, especially around here, politics, which I hate. I don't even want to hear it. So that's just what it is. I'm glad he said that, man, because it needs to be said. Yeah, we keep it real on the show, so we know what it is, man. So it is what it is. Closing up real quick. Obviously, the NBA has voted to come back in next month, the end of next month, December 22nd. They also agreed to a 72-game schedule for this season, obviously due to the pandemic and the late start time. So that's the good news. We'll get the NBA back quickly. And NFL owners today unanimously approved a plan to expand the postseason to 16 teams if COVID outbreak forces the regular season to be shortened. That's only if the outbreak forces the regular season to be shortened. There will be 8 teams in each conference making the postseason, and there will, 16 games to decide who wins the Super Bowl. And that's all I have for you for today.
All right. As always, want to thank you guys for tuning in, man. Get over to finestmac.com. I'm on sports.com. Also, Friday nights, 10 p.m., DCTV to catch our weekly appearance here. Also, follow DCTV on social. Get on their website. Find out when, the alternate times that the show does air. And don't forget, next week, if you're following us on social, it's a great week. NBA draft week. We got something very special planned for you guys next Wednesday, the 18th. So we'll see you guys next Tuesday and hopefully next Wednesday as well. You guys have a great night.